Hi, my friend. So this is going to be my first video. Then how to best kick off. Then looking at some games of what you prescribe as a beginning player. But I don't quite believe it. I think I saw some of your games and you're playing quite well. The opening is absolutely fine. You're playing some sort of London. This looks like transposition to Jerbawa, and so fine. 9b5, nice move. Bishop d6, nice move. Bishop g3. I can tell that you have learned these moves from the streamers. And yeah, so far there's not much I can say. All looks good. Here I would just say one thing about the feel I have in this game. We have spent a few moments on each move. Sometimes you spend like 3 minutes in the opening. And now you spend only like few seconds on knight f3. So on knight f3 you spent only about 18 seconds. So here what you can do, which looks good to me, is to try and double the white pawns by taking on f5. So now black has not one, but they have three different islands, pawn islands. So once you have the person who has more pawn islands might have some counterplay on the open files, but at the same time they will have more weaknesses in those pawns. So for example, if your next move would be queen f3, you are already attacking both of these pawns, and black simply cannot to defend both of these pawns at the same time. So this could be potentially a way how to play. There's a way you can actually protect both of these pawns, but it's a little bit trickier to find for black. But these two pawns, for example, they will be always very weak. So I will ask you to pause the video, and I will then show you how you can defend these two pawns. So, as you cannot protect them both at the same time, what you can do is to attack the king with the check. So, the best move is probably to just protect the king here with the c3 move. So this way we are protecting one pawn. And the second pawn you will protect with move g6. But again, black has lots of weak dark squares now, so you can start, maybe moving that queen on those dark squares a little bit. So attacking the pawn again, and maybe the best way to defend the pawn will be either king e7 or move like queen b6 or queen c7. So moves like this. So you can simply like create some weaknesses, and then after you finish your development, which is for example castling longside, getting your knights out, then all these weak squares and the weak pawns, they could be quite difficult for your opponent to protect. So here you play knight f3, and again this move would be kind of ideal, and I can almost assure you that your opponent at this range, you wouldn't be able to find the queen e5 and g6. So one of my recommendation as well would be to look at your games after you have finished them. Don't play another game until you have looked through your games. So here again, I would still be preferring to take the bishop, but it's fine what you have played. You are trying to castle long. I can tell you have learned this opening by watching some videos. So knight c6, take, now you're taking, that's fine. And queen d3, you are attacking the pawn. And black is defending the pawn, that's fine. You can also induce like a little weakness by making black play g6, just simply by moving this knight here and attacking that pawn one more time. I'm not saying it's a good move, but it's one of the moves, because that would make this pawn probably a lot weaker later on. So far you have been playing really nice game. Black plays knight b4. You play queen b3, so you're attacking both the knight and the pawn here. So if the knight moves, then you are going to win this pawn. Maybe you will know what black should have played here to protect this pawn and to protect the knight. And maybe they could have tied this pawn move, protecting the knight. And even if you kick the knight and win the pawn here, then they at least have one pawn already moved forward. What they need to do is to castle and try and attack you on this side, because that's where your king is. So that's their only hope. But you would already be up a pawn here, just simply by playing this. Now your opponent does something unthinkable at the higher levels. They just give you a free knight. So you take a free knight, that's fine. Queen c6 happens, you play knight e2, which is fine. Castles, queen b3, oh fine, rook c8. And here I can see that you have been playing fairly quickly, and this is where you need to, be thinking a little bit and see what black wants to do and think what you need to do. So once you have an extra knight for just a pawn, what I would suggest is to try and trade the pieces of black. And also, as you can see, the black is trying to attack your weak spot here. So I feel like you have started to panic a little bit at this point, and this is the moment where you should start thinking a little bit more. So one plan that I see would be to play king on b1, rook to c1, then place c4. Even though you are helping these two pawns to look a bit better, your plan is simply to trade the queen, trade the rooks, and then you will have the knight and the pawns against the king. So you will be winning. So I can show you just how it could go. I don't know, I'm going to just make some of it. There's not much black can do here. Maybe let's say the black will start pushing this pawn forward. So we can play rook c1, so that way, even if you move your queen, this queen will, this pawn will be protected, so at least you're not getting checkmated like in a game. And here we can play like this. If he pushes forward, then you can stop any attack with the b3 temporarily. And your idea is still to play c4 and open up the position. So let's say black will play b5, because they will see that, they need to try and prevent this c4. In which case it's probably better for you to start attacking on the other side. So you can start with the moves like rook h5. If they play g6, you will open the h-file and be winning. But if they don't, let's say they don't prevent this, they will try just to double stack on the c-file. Then you can already play c4. If they take, you take. They can go here, you can double up the rooks. If they double up the rooks, you are getting first trade. I'm just making stuff up, here you would be even winning the pawn, but let's say you don't want to win the pawn, you can play this queen here. They can actually try a little trick of playing a2. You cannot take with the king because you will lose the queen. So you would have to take back with the queen. But let's assume they will play badly and they will just trade. And now once you achieve this type of position, you have simply winning position. There's one move that you need to be aware of. Don't play ever, like let's say black will play something that doesn't make sense like b5. Don't ever play a move like knight b1, because this allows black to win your knight, as they will promote this way or by capturing your knight. So that's one of the tactics that you need to be avoiding. So let's go back to the game. So queen c3 is not a good move, and you probably know why if you think about it a little bit, so you can pause the video. So the reason I feel it's not a good move, because you are giving black at least one pawn back, and then they might have some chances of, getting these 2 pawns moving down the board and maybe winning the knight. But at this stage, I'm not saying anything. You would still be winning. So black wants to keep the queen on the board and doesn't want to allow you to trade the queen. So here you have missed the obvious, the checkmate. So if you are missing checkmates in one like this, but again, I don't know, maybe you can see checkmates, but you spend only 3.4 seconds on your move. So if you spend only 3 seconds on your move, then it's obvious that you will be missing even simple threat like queen takes c2. So here the best move would be to play queen b3. And what you need to see that if black is going to check you here, then you have simple knight b1. And black is not going anywhere. It's a bit complicated, but you should be absolutely fine. What you can do also, because black doesn't really have a way to attack you, you can get your king into safety here. So that's one way to play. And another thing to see, that if he takes you here, you obviously cannot capture back with the queen, with the pawn, but you can capture back with the knight. So those are just little things. So first thing is your time management. So for example, here you spend almost 5 minutes on this move, just to play this move. So that's lots of time that you are taking. What I would suggest here, if you like to play the knight c3 move, the Jobawa, I would play it here before I play the e3 move, because sometimes black will make this mistake of knight c6 on this level. That happens quite often. And now when you play knight b5, you are already winning at least a pawn. They usually play this move. They attack your bishop, so you can now protect the bishop. If they take, I saw many times they would play move like bishop c5. And I don't know if you know, this tactic is really interesting. You will combine this threat of fork with capturing this pawn. So most players will figure out that if they capture your queen and you give the check, you are also winning the queen. So if they go, say, here with the king, you win the pawn, and you have now 2 extra pawns. So lots of people figure this out. And when they do, what they oftentimes do, and I had this many times in my game, so once you take here, they oftentimes castle. But this is another blunder, as you can see here on the evaluation. What would you play now? You can give yourself just a few moments, maybe pause the video and try and find out what would be the best move. So yeah, so here you can just capture that bishop. Simple as that. So oftentimes I had those games where I'm like plus 4.9 just out of the opening. So yeah, as I would say, this game you played really well. I wouldn't be afraid also to just capture here with the knight. And yes, black has a strong center, so eventually they will try and push the e5. But you have, at least as a compensation, you have pair of bishops. I don't know how queen b6 or queen a5 work here, because there are some weaknesses you have here. For example, the b2 as your bishop is here. But I believe those are minor problems, because you can easily always protect this pawn. So knight takes d6 would be one of my ideas. Knight d4, yeah, you can just do what you have done. And here again, as I was saying before, I would just take here straight away. And then maybe I can just now see as well, if you play on knight here, then the next you can play the knight over there to try and attack this pawn. So that's also one of the ideas you can have. And then take, knight f3, queen d2, take, all good. And here I feel you are starting to, losing the threat a little bit. But so far so good. And here, as I said, it's fine what you have done. But here I think you are already panicking. So what you should do is king b1, prepare the c4 with rook c1, and start opening the c file. Yeah, this blunder was unfortunate, but otherwise I think you are playing quite a good game, especially in the opening. So I hope you like this. If you have any comments, just let me know. Or maybe you won't like the pieces. They might be confusing. So yeah, let me know. If you have any questions, I will be quite happy to answer them. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.